Welcome to the DNX Show. We're here every Thursday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. There's two hosts of the show, Todd Ryan and Josh Reason. So we appreciate you joining us. We stream live on X, and we also stream live on YouTube. If you want to check us out on YouTube, that's, I believe, youtube.com/TRABC. That's one way to get there. Thanks for being here. Josh has been drinking all night, so he's going to be staggering in a little bit late with booze on his breath. Okay, I can say that before he gets here. No, he's a family man. The kids are back at school, so there he is. Kids are back at school, so he's living the good life. Got lots to talk about today. What a big show we have. I mean, it's big. And of course, we take no prisoners, whatever that means in the domain space. We take no prisoners. I have so much to say. I put on the outline of this show. Just fucking be there. Excuse my language. Good morning, Josh, or good afternoon. What's going on?
What's up, man? Yeah, it was a heavy night. I'm just recovering now, so.
Yeah, I'm boozing it up. I hear people talk about different kinds of. I mean, I haven't drank for 32 years now, or since April 1st, 1991. Josh, I was playing tennis. Of course, I'm probably at your level. Who knows? I mean, I'd say probably because I think I'm good at everything. And we'll get to the pickleball. Really pissed me off. Amar put me on like the B team at the stupid event, so I couldn't even have a chance of it. And listen, I'm 60. I'll be 60. I know. I told Braden when I was riding with him, and I'll fucking play you anytime, anywhere for money. I've played only at the ICA events, and then 2 or 3 times with a friend who's really good. He's an old guy, but he's one of those, we rated. Who knows? Who isn't rated, right? But basically, that's like if I played, whether it's Siger, Alleman, Amar, Braden, all those guys, it'd be like swimming. Basically, it'd take me a little bit to know their game and then know, listen, I'm just naturally, a badass at stuff. Now, of course, I'm not, it's like I was a runner. I'm not one of the top guys, but I can beat the guys that are the average guys usually. Now I'm getting old, but I'm saying I was just telling Braden, Amar put these guys, they spend all their time playing, and I'm like, man, we can handle this right in the middle of the motherfucking street. Okay, but anyway, so
I'll tell you this:
yeah,
Alaman is actually pretty good.
yeah,
Give low key, Alaman's pretty good.
yeah. I know. I mean, I was going to give him a lot of props today for, he does. It's important to give credit, and I was going to bring it up. Somebody, I think it was Domain Gang, was telling you, hey, yeah, be sure and give credit to DNW, not that blog post. And you're like, listen, I just saw an article, and
Right.
and that's what I was saying, Josh. Domain Insight bothered me because he told me, how come you're using all my, I always give credit, but he said, what do you think? I work for you? I'm like, well, who is it? Kevin Murphy? I don't know you, only from your blog. And I said, I always give credit when I use Domain Insight. Well, what do you think? I work for you. I need to get paid for these. At the bottom of my blogs, you can donate. And I'm like, I didn't even notice that because I don't donate to DNW, Domain Gang, Domain Shane, Domain fucking whoever. I don't give them money. I didn't know that was their, go find a sponsor. And then, and if I want money, I'm not going to ask the people here in this room. Maybe I will in the future. But, we get a sponsor if we needed that. And matter of fact, Josh, I
Mm.
think some things on the horizon. But of course, DNX is our main sponsor, and boy, we broke the bank on that. But okay, so long story short is Domain Insight was saying, yeah, you need to. And I'm like, I didn't even know Kevin. He's like, I'm fucking nearly homeless. I had to fucking sleep in the streets. Like, I don't know. I don't even know the guy. And but this was almost a year ago now, and so it was around Christmas time. I remember because I'm like, geez, the guy sounds like he really does need a sandwich, and I like what he's busting his ass, so I sent him $50, $60 in the UK money anyway. Just a token of, hey, okay, I see the link. He didn't say thanks or anything. Not that I even care about that, but just the way he was a prick
Yeah.
to me about it. Of you do you think I work for you? I thought, man, and then I thought, you know what? Yeah,
It's these fucking British guys, man.
yeah,
Honestly.
yeah. So I don't even go to his site or even acknowledge him anymore. And I like his attitude because a prick before he was a prick to me. I knew he was like, he was like somebody who doesn't take shit. So a lot of the, the British guys do. But anyway, so I well, about the drinking. I was always back to that. I was playing tennis, Josh, in Palm Springs. Basically, I went out on a Friday night. I didn't drink. I was younger, met a beautiful chick, and was like, "What a great night!" And I was sober. The next night was a Saturday, and I got loaded, and I couldn't play tennis with a lot of guys I was supposed to play tennis with on Sunday morning. And I thought, "The fucking loser! Can you quit for how about a week?" So I quit for a week, and then I was like, "Just quit for a couple of weeks." And then it was a month, and then I loved being so different than everyone in the fucking world that everyone had to have booze all the time. That I was like, "Yeah, I'm different." I'm like, "This is." Unique. And then all of a sudden it was 3 months, a year, 2 years, five. Then I'm like, I'm not going back. I'd go back
Good
for it.
man.
And
Good
just
man.
got on a roll. But anyway, ever since then, there's always been, like wine coolers and Jägermeister, but stuff has come and gone. And, bourbon is hot now and whiskey, I guess a lot of stuff is, but yeah, I just missed out on all the
Yeah, man. I,
stuff.
I mean, I don't drink really. I mean, if I go to an event and or a wedding or something and go hang out for an evening with friends, like I'll I'll have some drinks. Like I'll drink. I don't particularly love it, but I'll do it socially. Um, but but no, man. Like last night, what I was playing pickleball. I went to bed. I woke up this morning. Went to the sauna. Did a cold plunge and started working, and I feel a lot better doing that than going out and drinking. That's for sure.
So that is a pretty nice 24 hours, meaning all the exercise, the recovery, and just enjoying things. So are the kids back at school? I mean,
Yeah.
yours aren't all school age. So what do you got? One and a half,
Yeah. So
two and a half.
my eldest son just started kindergarten today. They do like a stagger start. My daughter went into first grade. She started on Monday, and then my youngest is in daycare. So.
Nice. You're like, hey, no, I'm not. I'm gonna miss you terribly. You go to school, you shut the door, and you're like, I can't remember her name, but she's at school. No,
Yeah.
but it is. It's
She's the one. My daughter is the one who's nicest to me. My boys are mommy boys, and my daughter is actually nice to me. So
right. Oh boy, and so you got it all ahead anyway of the kids growing up and knowing mom's the boss. It's like, and you're like, she's not the boss. And you see how I hand, they're thinking, we'll just go to her. Get a car when we're 14, wait to 16, 18 for you. Fuck you. Yeah. Listen, so with so much domain news, and I mean, I got so much stuff to touch on, especially because the thing that I guess, well, before we start with domain stuff, because we'll let people get in here. I say that, Josh. I think when you schedule the rooms, they're much bigger because then people see that it's on your account. You got more followers. Not much, but we still get. We're lucky to get a lot of people that listen to domain investing. They're into it, and I like it that whether it's people experienced or new, one, everybody needs to know, what's the latest, what's going on. But before we get into domain investing, Josh, what was this Premier League thing that you're doing with domainers, like allowing you got a fantasy league going? I just was curious.
yeah, I do. Yeah, I'll go into it. Well, I mean, what I think you do a good job scheduling it. By the way, we'll get over 100, I would think, and if we don't, I'm leaving. But the fantasy thing is cool. We did it last year. Um, Leanne is kind of I'm the one who organized it, but Leanne kind of like pioneers it. Um, but we have it's Premier League, so it's soccer, which is probably not everyone's, for lack of a better term, cup of tea. Um, but we have, let's see, we got a decent amount of people from the domain community that signed up. So one, two, at least I would say there's at least 30 of us in here. Um, and yeah, I mean it's just good fun, you know. It's fun to win things. It's fun to compete. Doesn't matter what it is. And if you do enjoy watching the Premier League, then make yourself a fantasy football or in other words, fantasy soccer team, and join our league. And yeah, if you can't find the post where I talk about it, just send me a DM and I'll send you the link.
Yeah, how many people here knew he was going to say cup of tea? Okay, we knew that.
Mm.
But Josh, so that other guy, and I don't know a lot of the players, but because I'm a fan. I love watching, but I don't know the people. Of course, the super famous ones. But anyway, so I saw the picture of Cole Palmer that you guys had on. I thought it was a fucking Booth brother.
Yeah.
I mean, he looks like Andy got hit in the head a couple times. I mean, am I wrong there? But no, yeah, English guys. I was like, is that guy fucking crazy? Of course, I'm real tough until I'm around nutcases, and then I'm thinking, no, this guy would headbutt me, and my head's hard, so I don't want it to happen. But yeah, that Cole Palmer's something. So who's he play for?
He plays for Chelsea.
Chelsea.
He's like he's pretty new to the football scene. I mean, he's been about 2 years now where people have kind of really started to know him. But he's still on the up and up. But he's just got one of those personalities that are quite unique. He just doesn't really say much, and he's so blunt, just like incredibly blunt. You know how British guys are really blunt? I mean, he is the epitome of that. Um, I just like him. He's super talented. Um, they call him Cold Palmer because when he scores, he like puts his arms together as if he's cold. Um, and he's they say he's cold because he just like feels no pressure and he just steps up and scores. But
Yeah. I'm
uh,
gonna have to watch some
yeah,
highlights of him. I watched some clips of him talking, and you're right. I was fucking laughing from the start, but he's just slick. I didn't know, so he
yeah, he's
doesn't.
funny.
Yeah, he is. This guy's funny. I can't. I was watching clips of him talking, not even playing, but yeah, I'm gonna have to watch
He's
that.
not he's not he's not clever funny like you, Todd.
Yeah.
He's the other kind of funny.
But hey, speaking of yeah, NamesCon, I just proposed. I told them, hey, so I'm working with this guy um, to well, let me think here for a second. His name's Robert Smigel. I was forgetting. It had to come to my head. But so I've always been a big fan of this guy. He does this Triumph, the insult comic dog, and he done it for 25 years. But he's a writer for Saturday Night Live. You don't know his face too much, although he has written and directed a couple movies. He's a comedy writer, but he's a comic. But he's always been known for you see Triumph on like the Hollywood squares. Anyway, he's got a new podcast coming out, and I knew of a guy that was basically a producer of his. So they were coming up with this podcast, and they were like, they wanted to, if you're giving a speech at a wedding, they don't want any professional comics, but they want, if like you're giving a speech at a wedding or you're at a company event or just something, they wanted to help you write a funny speech. And I'm like, yeah, that's one thing I don't need help with. Okay, no, I was fucking with the guys. But I knew I had crossed paths with him before, Robert Smigel, but only as a fan, saying, yeah, like, but anyway, so I talked, they're starting a podcast. They want to, so I reached out to Frank and I said, hey, tell Robert, yeah, I'm doing this event, NamesCon. I'm going to be on stage there moderating some things, but I'd like to, I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to roast some fucking people there that are, not just people, but roast GoDaddy or, Spaceship or brokers, definitely roast some brokers, definitely make fun of the lawyers, but, companies and make fun of the event too, make fun of NamesCon. But certainly Mike Mann and like when Braden comes in there, I always say Braden, like he has brunch with fucking Moby and he's at Equinox and he's getting his eyebrows done or something. But in all in good fun. That's what I'm telling the people. But so I told the guys anyway. I was talking to this Robert Smigel, it's Triumph. I said, listen, here's the thing. We're going to talk in this next week about just going down a little histories of some people because I know people and I know things I'd like to make fun of them on. Especially, we're going to go down the very first day. So from Soren, of course, he's hard to make fun of. He's a partner of mine now and Pay Now a little bit. But Andrew Miller, I mean, I could fucking make fun of Boston all fucking day long. Okay, so I could do that myself. But and then you guys, so I can't wait to take some jabs at you, but I'll let him know. But Braden, Mike, man, that's a fucking easy target, but what I do is get Robert familiar with some of the history of the people, so then he can, he's a professional roaster. But so I just let the people know at NamesCon yesterday. I said, hey, listen, so after the end of we do this mock hearing, I'm going to cut it short 5 minutes so I can do 10 minutes, and I'll go into 10 minutes of basically Todd roasts the industry. Well, they haven't
Love it.
responded back to me yet. I mean, I don't
Not
know.
everyone, not everyone can take a joke like we can, Todd. That's a problem. So
Yeah, I said so.
I've learned that the hard way in the industry.
Right. Thin skin, they're
Um,
going to have to leave, except I said no one off limits, no one's safe. But yeah, so they, I know a few of them will be into it. I mean, the organizers, but then again, it's new. If it was just Soren, then he knows Todd fucking, take him, fucking do what you want. But with the new owners, they might, I mean, sure, like I said, I'm going to be on stage anyway. They don't really give me any more space because they're like, geez, I'm the only one on the first day that's got a, well, I invited John Berryhill. Me and John are on a couple different panels. And interesting, Josh, yeah. So they're like, we don't want, the same people on the panel. So Todd, with this UDRP thing you're doing early in the day, don't add, because I thought Jason Schaefer makes the most sense. Him and John Berryhill fucking do this every day. So, um, they're the ones that can really give tips to domain investors. I can't help it that they're on both panels. But anyway, so I
hmm.
see they added yesterday, you guys should go to namescon.com and click on agenda, and you'll see they're adding people all the time. They added Jessica Near McDonald to a panel with me and John. Now she's a lawyer out of Miami, so she's going to get a load of us. John's hard to handle.
Hmm.
But I'm glad to have her, but they didn't, I don't know. I asked John, sent him a message just now saying, do you know who that is? They added that, but I know they're going to be adding, let me see yours. I know they're going to be adding somebody else to your panel. I mean, I'm certain they are, only because there so many people want to participate. But you guys could go on. You, Mike, Man, and Braden, fucking a lot of great stuff. That's why we're lucky to be able to do it here with you, Josh. I got a bunch of stuff I want to talk about today, domain investing, but it's going to be a fucking fun event. Um, I wanted to quickly say, so there was a on that very first day, that was my idea, mastering domain investing, building, pricing, and selling a profitable for. I put together that whole thing. I mean, the the whatever they call it, the outline form, and then of course they said you can't be part of it. I was like going to ask the questions, but then and then Chad said, he goes, well, there needs to be one. He wasn't on a panel, and he's like, there needs to be something on AI, and they haven't responded. So it was Chad's idea, artificial friend or foe, but I helped him put together a little thing. He invited a couple guys. One guy's from Office Depot. This is a VP, is an engineer for Office Depot, Richard Coggins. Chad invited him. He's going to be very interesting. I know a little bit about him, about real company, and then also this co-founder at Purple Horizons. It's a AI tech company. So Chad thought it was going to be basically him and a couple other guys that are really experts in AI, and they have opinions on how they believe AI is going to affect domain investing and the future of domains. But then I see they added three other people to his panel. Got six people in there: Rachel Sterling from Identity Digital, and then Sammy Ahmed from Name.com, and then Sarah Rigo from Team Internet. So I guess my point was, yeah, there's a lot of folks that are sponsors, want to be there, want to talk, and they start jamming them in. Watch out for your panel. I mean, anyway, but that yours is one that I really looking forward to, because of really just what Mike's doing lately, what's Braden doing lately, what you're doing lately. All right, getting to some things. I hope, Josh, if you can, why don't you invite Mike Siger up? He says every time I invite him, I haven't invited anybody today, it doesn't work. Because the first thing I want to talk about is you selling wholesale on Name Pros. Well, Mike
Mm.
did it a little bit, and it worked for him, in his contest. And then you do something which you can talk about why you wanted to test it, that you bought these names just last Wednesday. Do people want to buy them just because they're you? Were they that good at names? I mean, who can buy names on a Wednesday and sell them for $100 each the following week? It's just that in itself is hard to do. And then you did it and you act like, no, I was just testing. We're thinking testing. Yeah, I need that money to pay some bills, the money that you made. But so I know I wanted to hear if Mike thinks that was, it's pretty, pretty difficult to do, even though you just did it. So Josh, tell us why were you wanting, what's the, you wanted to test wholesale, but tell us just a little bit
Mm.
about what you did there.
Yeah, I think Mike knows a little bit about what I did. I actually messaged him and said I was going to do it last Wednesday. I just, you know, I said on the DNX show I wanted to test out the wholesale market. I think it's cool what they're doing with the investor challenge. Um, it's something that I've always been passionate about, which is why I started DNWE. It's how I got started in the domain industry. It's how I was able to build my portfolio to what it is now. Now I haven't wholesaled for years. I don't have to anymore. I'm fortunate enough to get pretty frequent retail sales. Um, but I'm not oblivious to the fact that that takes time. I mean, to reach where I am now took 10 years of hard work. Um, so uh, I think that I just wanted to see, where the market was at and how, hard or easy it, is to move names if you're, seasoned in buying the right names for the right prices. And so last Wednesday, I just decided that I would spend the day in front of my screen on GoDaddy, and I literally spent the day in front of my screen, and just try to buy as many value names as I can. Good names for the least for the lowest possible cost. Um, so I did that all day on Wednesday. I bought 17 names, and um, you know, obviously in an ideal world, those 17 names all hit your account right away, but you know that that's not the case. When you're buying off GoDaddy auctions and closeouts and whatnot, you have to wait. Um, so of those 17 names, I've received 11 of them. I got a bunch of them last night, and I was like, "Fuck," I was so tired of waiting because, like, I just wanted to run this test, especially before we did our show today. Um, so I got 11 of the 17 in my account, and I was like, all right, let's make a post on Name Pros. Let's see how many of these I could get sold. Um, and yeah, I just decided I would post them all at $99. I think that I could have got more for some of them, obviously, but yeah, I mean, I think they all sold within about 30 minutes. So yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people will say, yeah, they're only buying them because you're selling them, but um, that is 100% not the case. And if they are, then
Yeah.
thank you
Well,
so
Josh, now where
much.
did you buy these at? Were these
They're
from?
all from GoDaddy.
They're all closeouts.
Uh, yeah, closeouts or like uncontested auction wins. Yeah,
Okay, so they weren't hand reg.
none of them were hand reg.
Okay,
Yeah,
that
so they
that
were all
that.
aged, but
Okay.
they all have they were all just renewed, obviously, so they all had a year left of renewal. Um, yeah, I don't
Well,
know. I would rather keep those names in my portfolio, but just because it takes a lot of time and effort to, spend the whole day in front of your screen buying names that you think are, you know, good names. Um, I think that there's a pretty good chance that one of them sells at retail within the next couple years. So I personally prefer to wait for that retail sale, but you know that's just one day, and 10, 20 names. If you do 10, 20 names a day and you're able to sell all of them like that, I mean, you can make some pretty good money. Uh, you know, just that batch of names, or make, let's say, close to $1,000. If you do that every day, 365 days a year, you're making a pretty good living
Well, yeah.
without selling a single name at retail.
Well, sure. Who, and that's like, okay, so that's impossible to do every day. Now, what you could do, I'm saying
Is it
you,
impossible to do every day?
well, I think so. We'll hear from the other morons in the crowd.
It would
No one
be
wants
it
to
would
talk.
be it would be hard, but why is it
Well,
impossible?
the way I say, I was just thinking, you do that. You say you find 20 names, or 30, and you keep half of them, like you said, because you're like, hey, I want to keep some of these for retail. Basically, I'm doing all this work finding them. I'm finding them so I can get that good price. And I like how you put in there. Here's my retail, 49.95, like what you would put. So, Josh, you saying a couple things. Here's what I would price it at, and my first choice would be to keep it, but I'm doing this test, and then people know that it's you, and you spent the time looking because they're thinking, yeah, it's just like a handicapper. If you're saying you like the fucking Mets, and the pitcher who's going, people are like, well, fuck, I don't do the research. So if he says that, and this is the type, he would put $50 on that. I mean, or he would expect this type of return. All right, then people, I think there is something a little bit to, yeah, they like that you're the one that's doing it, but also those other little factors. The little sales thing of it's true, but I'd like to keep this. I don't want to sell it. It's like you guys are pulling it from me for 100. Okay, you can get it. And then, you with the here's what I would retail it for. So I do think you set it up and you
I don't.
sold it
I just.
perfectly.
I just. I just don't believe that anyone's buying them because I'm selling them. I think the first person that bought them was just a Name Pros member. I don't think I even uses X, and the other person who was like a big buyer of them was Tony Names, and he's not buying anything because I tell him to buy them. He's only looking for good value.
Yeah.
So I'm not a believer that people buy based on who's selling them. I think that you just, you know, I've been telling people what names to buy for 5 years, or like what type of names you should be buying for 5 years. Nobody listens to me, so why would they buy my names?
Well, they're finally listening, maybe a little bit. Well, I agree with you that it tells me more about the number of people on Name Pros, which is fucking great. So it shows you there are buyers there, they're wholesale buyers. That's why I mentioned, when Mike was doing the contest, that, yeah, that's the only place I've ever sold, well, not the only place I've sold wholesale, but the ones where I've seen there's always been plenty of wholesale buyers. I'm glad that you did the test. I think it's great for Name Pros because Name Pros, people will continue to go there and check it out. Basically, try to do it. Hey, all of you guys in here, a ton of people love to, have opinions and a lot of
I mean,
smart
Name
ass.
Pros. I will say some things about Name Pros. Name Pros is the largest, domain community in the on the internet by far. Who hasn't spent a lot of time on Name Pros in the industry? I mean, the first couple of years that I was in domains, I lived on Name Pros. So, you know, um, there are absolutely buyers on Name Pros. The fact that it's a forum, you know, can I think to some people is maybe off-putting from like a selling and buying domain standpoint, but it's super active. It always has been super active. So um, I see
Yeah.
we got Paul. Hopefully, Paul can come up.
Well, well, cool. Maybe Paul will. Before I get to Adam and Arif, I'm fucking glad that they, requested because I haven't sent out any requests. I was going to say, that's where I started going. When you're a new domain investor, you're searching the internet. You love a forum because you're like, hey, it's no sweat. I can go there and look around. And of course, there's a lot less. I never thought there was too much bullshit anyway. You only got involved in the bullshit if you wanted to. A thread, you didn't have to be part of a thread because there's too much history and too much good stuff there. So, before we go to Adam and Arif, Mike's having issues with the same. But Mike, what do you think about what Josh did, and is it doable? He says you can do it every day. Okay, but anyway, what do you think about what Josh did? His test on Name Pros.
Hey, sorry, trying to set up my Ring camera and it's like kicking me off the network, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, sorry about that. Yeah, Josh and I chatted about it. I think it's awesome. I think that, when he told me about the domain names, first of all, I'm like, well, I can't believe you bought all those domain names in a day and you want to sell them that quickly wholesale. They didn't strike me as that great a name, name portfolio. But then today, when I was actually, and that was on my phone, and I was looking at the domain names in that weird format that they sent them in, Josh. And then when I looked at them today, I'm like, you know what? I think that a majority of them are really good 2-word names that companies would use to brand on. And so, for example, Josh, do you mind if I list some of
Yeah, absolutely. That's fine.
them? So, Contexum.com, that strikes me as like a perfect one for, a brand bucket. Adam.com. Door Finance, Infinitium Finance, that seems a little long to me. There might be companies named that. Tap Financing, like these are bread and butter domain names that I think end in finance, end in financing, end in capital, end in loan, end in funding, that I think will easily sell to other investors because they do.
Did you lose him?
I think we lost him.
I think so.
I think he was about to say because they do well at retail.
Yeah, he can jump back in. He's trying to protect this family from the neighbors in Bainbridge Island. A crook wouldn't even know how to get off the island. Hey, hold on, Adam. What do you want to say about name pros and stuff? Nice to have you. What's going on?
Hey, good afternoon, guys, and congratulations, Josh, on that quick turnaround on those names. I'm going to play a little bit of devil's advocate here. I think when people see your name, you have a sort of authority. You know what you're doing. You've had a lot of success. So when you put out a list of names, people are going to automatically assume that these are good names. You vetted them. You've done the research on them, and it takes out one step of the insecurity of not knowing if you're buying, a good name or not. Now imagine if just a random Joe Schmo, which happens all the time, lists names for sale, and you don't see any of those sell. Now, of course, a lot of those might not be good, but if you were listing those names, I think some more of those might have sold. I mean, it's hard to tell, because who knows what the quality is. And actually, I didn't even know the list of the names that you had because they were taken off and listed as sold. I didn't see the post till maybe an hour ago. So I didn't know the quality, and they look like, from what I heard Mike saying, they do sound like they're pretty decent quality names. So I'm not surprised that those sold. But I wonder if somebody under a random account, and this would be a good experiment to do too. Try to reproduce this, but use a different account. Make a new account and find some more names and put them up for sale and see if those sell. And that would be interesting to follow because that would take out the element of your name possibly boosting the sales.
Josh, before you chime in, Adam, hold on. That's exactly how I feel. When I saw Josh post on X, hey, I'm selling names for $99. I saw it like you an hour ago. Well, I was already too late. Couldn't see any of the names. I'm glad Mike shared some, and Josh, you can share them. But yeah, I was like a duck on a June bug. Yeah, Josh has got some bullshit for $100. I'm gonna check it out. And then I get there, I don't even get to see anything. But I went there. If it would have been most anybody else on X saying, "Hey, I'm selling some names on Name Pros," I would have been like, "Yeah, I'll get there maybe when I get there." So, Josh, yeah, some people do want to see, like Adam said, they do believe you did a little bit of work, and that's a step we don't have to do. Your comment?
No comment. No comment.
He just wants to say.
I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what I say and what I think. You guys are more than welcome to think whatever you think. There might be some validity to it. I really don't. I really don't know. I think that there is certainly you can play both sides, right? As well as like if Josh doesn't want those names, then then I definitely don't want them, right?
Well, sure,
It's
but
the
we're
same
not
thing.
saying you're a genius. Don't get that too high, okay? We're just
There you,
saying.
well, there you go.
Hey, I'm
Exactly.
back
Sorry,
on the
Mike.
network.
Yeah,
Did
yeah.
you hear anything that I said earlier, or did I get cut off?
I
Yeah,
think
we
you
heard
got cut
it.
off at the point. You got cut off at the point where you were saying those are the type of names that would do well at, and I think you were about to say retail.
All right. I list the 6 domain names that I thought were good?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I think you know, whatever. People are always going to question whether it's my name, whether it's your name, whether it's anybody on the panel. I guess next time I'll just create a fake Name Pros account and list them that way, and see if they sell that way. Although mine are public on the spreadsheet. So yeah, Josh, you got to reproduce this with a non-branded, brand new Name
You,
Pros
you
account, I
you
guess.
should do one. You should do one under Cycle Miger.
Yeah.
Sounds. Yeah, I'll do the jokes, I guess. Here, Josh.
So
Hold on,
here's
Ragu. Hold on, Ragu, motherfucker. You know we're
All
gonna
right,
go in
Todd.
order. I mean, only because Adam. I want Arif to say something, and then Ragu, and then I'll accidentally mute everybody like Ish does. How he does that, I'll never know.
you
But go
guys.
ahead,
Yeah,
Arif.
no, I mean, I think that's part of it is Josh and Mike are two of the most respected people in the industry. So is Josh right in that people would buy it anyways? Maybe. I think more than the actual trusting him for quality control, which certainly might be a thing. It's also just the visibility as well, right? Like some people don't have as many followers on Twitter and whatnot, so just that extra visibility gets it there. Whether they look at the domains for the value is a different thing, but those two things kind of go in tandem that way. But also to answer your question about finding 10 good domains a day, it's certainly doable. I've been doing that for the last 3 months or so. I'm happy with my results. So it's possible.
Visibility is definitely a thing.
Yeah.
That's 100%, and that's something that I've been trying to solve for years. It's something that I try to solve for through DNWE. It's something that I've tried to solve for through DNX. It's like the names are out there, right? But it's just getting them curated and in front of the right people. So visibility is definitely one.
Well, and with the curation, like people get numb looking at crappy domain names over and over again. And so then when good ones actually show up, nobody's paying attention to them. And that's the
Right.
problem with like posting on Name Pros. Your DNX logo or your name actually brings a little bit more attention than the randomness of people's usernames. And,
Yeah.
so I've always been a big fan of like, use your real freaking name. Like, business is done person to person, not alias to alias. And and if you want to build a reputation, use a real name, use a real picture, learn in public, celebrate your losses, celebrate your wins, and people will affinitize with you. And then when you have something to say, they'll actually listen. So, but if people don't want to do that, it's not for them, then, you're at a disadvantage when it comes to this specific type of outbounding.
Mike, it only makes sense to not be anonymous, but it really was that Web3 generation where people are, they want to make a case for it of why, if I offer something valuable, some valuable information about coding, you shouldn't care who I am. You're right in some instances, but I'm with you, 1,000% about people it's usually something fishy. Well, I wanted to say, so we got a celebrity here, Raghu Sharma. We hardly have any, celebrities here that come on stage. Raghu, what's up?
No, Todd. So here's my observation of this scenario. So first thing first, I'm glad this thing came up because I got to see the list as well, and when I looked at the name, I was saying, okay, whatever. So, and the reason is I hardly know Josh. I just became to know him now. I really still don't know him much. And so that was out of my mind. Okay, who Josh is and whose name is this? So I'm looking at the name. I said, okay, whatever. Right. Now, that's one thing. The second thing, yes, absolutely, you guys are right. You say his name, his reputation, his authority. And same thing like example of GoDaddy when we always talk about, oh, if this expiry domain name I'm trying to sell, I don't even get fucking $50, and the name is going for $500 on auction.
So absolutely, yes, the names and the reputation makes a little difference, and people have confidence. Oh, it's coming from GoDaddy, auction expiry, so must have some value and all that. So I agree right there and then. And another thing is, as people are saying, okay, change your name and then list the name and you see. So my suggestion is, why not? Like I think Michael Seiger was trying to do that is come up with these names of this list, and then let's just exercise, see if that name is, and just for a minute, keep Josh out of your mind and see analyze the name. And I mean, Todd, you always come up with the good names. Yes, you have good names. You try to put it in the auction for $20, $10, $50, and we all jump on it. And you think we buying this name because of Todd? I love Todd, and that doesn't mean I'm going to just blindly buy a name just because of Todd is selling it. I will look at the name, um, and then bid on it. You know what I mean? And of course, people are smart enough. What reputation it is good, where it's coming from, but $99, a good name. Why not grab something? I'm sure it has some value, but I would really like to see from your expert if you can come up with one of his name and see actually, and then put your opinion there. Why not?
Josh, he's making the case on both sides. It's hard to follow him. So, Ragu, I wanted to say when he said he didn't know Josh, I told him a long time ago. I said, "Hey, I'm going to do a show on Thursdays about domain investing." He goes, "With me?" I said, "No, with Josh Reason." And he goes, "Fuck you and fuck Josh." And if you know Ragu, you know he'll say shit like that. But anyway, so yeah, he knows Josh. But so Ragu, you're saying, yeah, you didn't buy names from me because it's somebody you, but then you say, yeah, they do it, so they should do the test. But I like that you jump back and forth over the line. I mean, it's fun for, I guess, conversation. Josh, what do you say? I mean, what did you follow, or you got a gun to
Yeah,
your head, or
I followed. I think everyone's, Adam, Arif, Ragu. I mean, all totally valid points. You know, totally
we
valid
can't
points.
wait
I
till you buy that names.
all I'll say is, I've posted this before on X multiple times, is that um, I was selling anonymously on DNWE for years, and I was by far the biggest seller there.
Yeah, because you knew the
Um,
search, you knew what people were searching too. Yeah,
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 there you go.
yeah.
You just keep going.
Well, hold on, hey Josh,
That's the gold. That's the gold.
since we're
Yeah.
loading up on Josh, this next one, Josh said Arch.com was, it sold for 700,000, and he says that's fucking wholesale, and of course, wholesale 700,000, unbelievable. But he says it, and he knows. So first, I mean, all you guys on stage, Adam, Mike, Arif, Ragu, you guys know. Okay, Arch.com, domain name, sold for 700,000. Who first? We're going to give everybody on the stage a chance, Josh, and then they're going to. Josh says that's a wholesale price. What do you say, Adam?
I said it's closer to a wholesale
Oh,
price
okay,
than a retail price.
I remember. Adam, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean it's definitely worth a lot more than that. And I kind of agree. It's the upper end of where wholesale. I think a true wholesale price would probably be about 300K. I would say for that name, 400K. 700, that's almost double that, but you're still going to get a good multiple from that eventually, I think. So I don't know what the seller was thinking, as in, they just needed the cash. I mean, that's a one syllable, 4 letter word with meaning, and it's a good positive word too, arch. So yeah, I mean that name's got potential to go a lot higher. So 700K is a great deal for an end user. It's a okay deal for a wholesale buyer.
Okay, we think a lot of like 2 to 300,000 is what I say. But Mike, what do you think for Arch.com? 700,000.
Yeah, I posted right under Josh's post saying I agreed. I think wholesale is anywhere from 250 to 500, 600,000. Asterisk, I haven't done full research on this, but given that it's 4 letters, 1 syllable, a word, tons of use on LinkedIn as the first word, not something something arch, but like arch something. It's good, and the retail is like 2 million to 5 or 7 million, somewhere in that price range. So yeah, it's closer to 500,000 than it is to 2.5 million. So I fully agreed with Josh without doing a ton of research on that.
Yeah, like when you go to your grandma's house and she had Archway cookies. Okay, we got it. So you think that was a wide range, Mike, 250 to 500, 600. Okay, that's a wide
Well,
range.
that's, when you get to these types of names, it wholesale is flexible, right? How badly do they want to sell it? How much do they need the money? When was their last offer? How much money do you have? Like, there's a lot of different aspects that come into wholesale. Whereas retail, you're just going to wait, hopefully.
Yeah, I come from the school that I think very few names are worth millions, but you guys think there's just so many names worth millions that to me, I'm like, I think that's going to go away. I think a lot of $1 million names are going to be selling for the mid six figures because there's so many options, but I haven't predicted that right just yet. What do you want to say, Josh? Then we'll see what Arif has to say.
Um, no, I basically fully align with Mike. I happen to know I knew about this sale back in April because the end user won the deal over a investor friend of mine who was right around that kind of like ballpark 500K range trying to buy it. Um, and I can definitely tell you at least 2 or 3 other people that would have paid, I would say 400-500K for that name. So yeah, I mean, I definitely understand your point as well, Todd, that, it's hard to sell names for 7 figures, but these ones, like Arch.com, they're just few and far between now. It's coming to a point where it's just basically impossible to buy these names. And when you're talking about the 200 range, if like buying that type of name at the 200 range is practically impossible because there's I mean huge lines of people that are willing to pay that price for that type of name. So naturally over the last 5 years, that the price that you need to pay for that type of name has just crept up and up and up. It's like, you know someone offers me Arch.com for 250. I'm like, selling everything so that I can buy it immediately. I'm
Yeah,
snapping,
100%.
I'm like snapping it up. But someone offers that to me at 500K, I'm like, oh, fuck, that's kind of uncomfortable. I can't quite make that happen. But there are a few other people in the industry that absolutely can, and they do.
Yeah, good
Yeah,
point.
if you guys,
Go ahead.
as probably most people do, if you're regular listeners to Sherpa over the last year and a half to 2 years, you hear like Braden and Drew, they're talking about their acquisition prices are getting higher and higher, right? It's not for nothing. Like for me, I'm not totally in love with Arch.com. I guess it's a great domain. Don't get me wrong, but it's like the domains that you hear them selling in the 7 figures. I would think are a little bit notch above, but again, I didn't do the research, right? What Mike said really applies. You have to look at LinkedIn, and when you're spending that kind of money, you got to see what usage there is. But at the same time, like I 100% agree with exactly the way Josh reframed it just earlier on. Like it's closer. Yeah, it's closer to wholesale. I would probably put it sub 500,000 at wholesale, but it's still close enough, right? At this point, that 6 months later, these things at wholesale are just going to go for more and more. It's the one domain category where there's true scarcity, right? It's like the quality one words. It's just it's a .coms, right? It's just there's not many available.
Yep.
What kind of noise was that? Hey, well, listen, the GoHo,
Yup.
the GoHo was less than 12. We're going to go to that in a second. So I agree. Now that you're saying at Odyssey.com that Braden sold 3 syllables, no one can spell it. I can't. Odyssey. I think, and maybe I'm wrong, but anyway, Odyssey, 3 syllables, 1.5 million. Of course, Arch right, but double that, 3 million. So then it does make sense. People jump it up. And Josh, when I said good point, you're right. There's all sorts of new people in the space that, and it reminds me of the young kid, and I say young kid because he's from Indiana, that he had the AI dot now that he sold, and he bought a Genic AI Aaron for 120 grand. So you have people that aren't real, experienced or seasoned in the space, but yet they're willing to spend big bucks on names. And I'm saying six figures. I've never spent six figures. I've never spent five figures on a name. I've always, wanted to buy names cheap, hit home run. Like basically, it's like for me, it really is playing the lottery. I'm not spending hundreds of thousands on the lottery. Matter of fact, I don't even, buy tickets, but I like the idea of spending a couple bucks, hitting the trifecta, try to do something. But that's, just different strategies in domain investing. But yeah, when you said it made sense when you said, yeah, now 200,000, there'd be a long line for it. It's like, damn, in the old days, we thought there was only, half dozen, maybe a dozen guys that you knew would spend because they're believers. But even some of the old guys who have great portfolios, and I can think of some, they don't like to spend that much money. They already have some stuff, and they'll spend five figures, but six figures. They're getting outbid by newer, younger people. That believe in investing. But okay, Josh, this GOHO. Or I'm sorry, Ragu. Did you want to say anything about Arch.com? What was your thought?
Yes, two things. One is maybe, I don't know if I read this right or wrong. Equity may be involved with this domain deal. I'm not too sure. Could be that's the reason. Maybe the price is a little bit less. Or and the next thing is Biden sold what his name? Sword.com. And he was not quite saying that is like the buyer was really pushing me down. I wanted to sell for higher. And sold.com sold for what, 300 something thousand? I'm not too sure. So things happening, things are happening. And the last thing, I didn't research about this. It went for another investor or it went to the end user. I'm not too sure. This name, Arch.
Yeah, Josh,
It
there's
went to arch.co.
Right.
And
So it went to the end user, correct?
Mhm. Correct.
So why not? Good for him. Congratulations to him. He got a good deal. And maybe it's equity involved. Who knows? We never know the full picture.
yeah.
Sword.com sold for $1.5 million, Ragu.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I'm sorry about putting that low. Right. So, and he was still, I think, struggling for a long time to negotiate, and he gave up. That's
No, I
what.
don't think that was the case. I think that when it first came on the market, um,
So
they
Bud
reached
was
out to
expecting
the.
it more money, though. For sure,
Well, we
I
all
heard
we
that.
all expect more money on all of our domains.
He was
Yeah,
not happy with the buyer.
he
I'm
was not
telling
happy
you.
with the buyer because the buyer was difficult to deal with. But $1.5 million for Sword.com, and he owned it for like 2 or 3 years. That's a home run. That's a grand slam right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me say quickly about sword.com. And you're right, he was only like the buyer, he was thinking, yeah, I could have got more. He was happy with the sale. And listen, I know you guys plenty talk to him more than I do, but I was in a car ride with him and he was talking specifically about that with me, saying fucking buyer went to, we already were dealing with him, went to one broker, then he went to Brandon's, went to another broker, kept going to different brokers trying to get some help. And then Braden was like, I had to break off all these brokers because there was like basically two or three they were part of the thing, and I don't even know how it works, but they got to make sure everybody gets paid. So that was Braden's frustration, but he thought the price fair enough. Yeah, like Mike said, like to get more, but that was fair. It was just like we could have done this deal sooner, quicker, for the same amount, and Braden would have made more and not had to pay in commissions. But he's obviously more than a fair guy because he was taking care of all the brokers like they're kids, kids to him. I was like, fuck, that is frustrating to know right at the last month he got another broker involved or whatever it was. But okay, so Josh, this GOHO.com. I love, that's a four letter. Of course, it's not a word, it's not one syllable like arch and so on. But what a great name. I was at Burbank Airport yesterday and I saw there's a restaurant TOGO to go, and I was thinking, what a great name that would be, Togo, if you own the domain. And then we see this get GOHO, go ho, and I've said that many times. Go, ho, get out of here. Just kidding. Okay, so, but GOHO, 19,560. Now that, in my opinion, that would be wholesale. I mean, now that I see it, but what do you think about that going, auction? It was an expired, it sold for 19,560. Do you have interest in those kind of names?
Yeah. So I would pay probably about 10 grand for that name. So which means, yeah, 19K is a pretty good deal. I mean, it's like whatever to get a name like that at auction, you're gonna have to pay a little bit more than what other people around you are willing to pay, like all the time, because the best names at auction have a lot of eyeballs. There's just no getting away from it. So I think that adding 50% onto what you would normally pay if you were trying to acquire it privately is about right at auction for these top names. But I mean, like in the grand scheme of it, it's like, okay, if I'm committed to spending 10K for it, I'm thinking that the retail price is about 100K. You know, if I then decide to commit 20K to it, and you're still, you should still be convinced that it's a 100K name. Yeah, I mean, listen, I think that it's decent, right? You're not going to get too hurt on it. If you do need to sell it, you can get 50 to 75% of your money back. So I guess what I would say is, yeah, it's a little bit on the high side for wholesale, but I would prefer, I prefer, if you're trying to invest in good names, I prefer that you spend 19K on a name like that compared to a lot of the other things that we see out there.
Um, I wanted to say about people selling stuff and, the other domainer. I'm a jealous domainer. I just want to say that I get jealous. I'm like, fuck, man. Yeah, I want to sell stuff and I want to sell it. I'm glad other people sell it, but I'm still jealous of it. I'm not glad. Speaking of jealous, that's why I wanted to bring up Adam. And I say, bring up, he's already up here on stage. We got open spaces on stage, open seats. If you guys want to come rub elbows with Ragu, request it because I'm going to be saying shit. I'd like to hear other people chime in. I'm not asking Barman to fucking come up here, but I do like to rough him up a little bit if he's willing to. But anyway, and I see him randomly posting pictures of his his little Audi. Yeah, I got one too. It's fucking badass. That's the coolest thing about him. Okay, so anyway, Barman, if you raise your hand, I dare you. Oh shit. Let's see if that was him. Oh shit, I can't tell. It is. Okay, but don't talk just yet. You come up here and just sit there for a second. Because I'm asking Adam a question right now. And that is Adam, he's only got 800 names, Adam does, and he sold one on Seller Hub or whatever it was. But Adam, just tell us about this name that you sold this past week before I get to the
Well,
shrinking.
I was actually looking at my names. I'm actually closer to 900, so I'm getting up there. I've been buying a good amount of names, so it caught me by surprise looking at my totals. So, but yeah, I just recently listed the majority of my names on Seller Hub. I'm still not using their landing pages. I'm just listing them there because their search network, the partner network, which is basically them and Namecheap, will prioritize names listed in Seller Hub first, and they're going to be totally. I don't know if they have done this yet, but they're going to be removing Afternic and Cedo listings from their searches. So if you want to come up in their registration path, you're going to need to list your names with them. But the other advantage is that they only charge 5% commission. So I'd say maybe like 4 or 5 days ago, I've been doing it for a few days, just going through because my names are at different registries and they're pointing to different things. So I have to like change the name servers, remember what I'm changing, what they were at, and change them back. It's a little bit of a pain, but I got it all done finally. So anyway, just a few days ago, last 3-5 days, I got most of my names listed there. And then just yesterday, I got a sale for one of my names, Netplane, netplane.com, for about 5K. I've had the name for, I think, about 5 years now. And that name was definitely sold through the partner network or through their registration path because I'm still using the Afternic landing page on there. So that's an instance. Usually you hear the opposite. Usually you are using a non-Afternic lander and it sells through Afternic either way. But this is the opposite. This was using an Afternic lander and it didn't sell through Afternic. It sold through Spaceship. So, I was happy to see that and definitely happy to get the 5% commission on that. I had totally forgotten about it when I announced the sale. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's a nice bonus. Save myself, several $100s on that sale. So as far as using their landing pages, I mean, it doesn't seem worth it for me yet because, Afternics reach is still a lot bigger than Namesheets and Spaceships. But I am going to be moving probably some of my bigger names to there, because right now Afternic doesn't support lease to own over 100K, and Spaceship right now doesn't support lease to own at all. But Richard said in about a month it should be done, and they're also going to add the ability to front load the lease to own, so you can charge more for the first month, which is going to be nice too.
That's
So
amazing.
for any names that I have listed, over 100K, would make sense to list there. And then I would still have them listed through the Afternic Partner Network. But what I like to do with names like that is to remove the buy it now and just use make offer and usually just put a minimum offer, what it was before. So I'll only get bothered, by people who are serious about it. And when it happens, then I immediately switch the landing page back to Afternics, and then I continue the discussions on a name. So I think I did that with snitch.com when I sold that because it was listed on I think it was on a domain easy page, and they contacted me through Afternic. And I had the minimum offer, I think at 50K on that. So I knew it was a serious buyer. So as soon as I got that, I switched my page back to Afternic, and then we ended up finishing the sale. And I only got charged 15%. So I think you could do that with your bigger names. I think your regular cost names right now it's probably better to stay with Afternic. If you're not in a rush to sell your names and you don't care when they sell and you just want to save on commission, then yeah, Spaceship is definitely a good option for that. But overall, definitely list your names in their partner network because you're going to be losing exposure if you don't.
There's a lot of
You're definitely going to be losing a lot of exposure if you don't list it on Afternic. I just want to be clear about that.
Oh yeah, you
Yeah,
definitely 100%. You got to list on Afternic too.
right,
You got to list
okay.
on the major ones. Afternic and Spaceship are two of the main ones. Cedo, you should list on Cedo. I mean, I can't even remember, how many sales I've gotten on there. Barely any, but they do come up every so often. Probably less now that they're not going to be in the name shape registration path. But those Afternic and I think Spaceship now are the must list.
Yeah, I agree.
a lot of registrations on Namecheap. So you brought up good points. We're going to talk about Sellers Hub more. And even when not using their landers, only paying 5%. So not using their servers and 5%. Unbelievable. Very important what you brought up. And we're going to touch on that. Hey, Barman, so you're a jealous domainer like me. You can't bullshit me. What's going on? How's things going in the domain investing, biz for you?
Pretty good. I'm on a train, so you might lose me here and there. Things are great. Thanks for all the kind words.
This guy's in his car. It's no shit. Josh, yeah, we
I
can't
think he
hear you.
said. I think he said in a train, didn't he?
Yeah, that's what I heard too. Yeah, in a train.
Yeah, I'm in a train.
Okay, so we can hear you now. Well,
You guys losing me?
you said, yeah, now we can hear you good. You said things are going good. Usually you post when it's going really good. Well, what'd you sell?
I mean, define good. So I don't have too many names. So my sales are, every week or so, every like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So.
We know it's tough on the
That's
train.
still
I'm
pretty
just
good.
glad you came up here. Okay, so because I can't. Am I going to see you in person at NamesCon?
Yes.
Oh shit. No, because I do like to. We only know each other a little bit, but I just cannot wait to. It's me and you. We're gonna, you're on my side though, so don't come up to me adversarial this time. We're on the same team. We're gonna mess with some people, but no, Barman, it's nice. So
All right.
tell us, you're on the train, but still, that car is pretty awesome, huh? I got a new Audi about 3 months ago, but everything cool with it?
Pretty nice. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks to Domains for getting those. Well, all right, we're going to be talking about Sellers Hub here. Um, Josh, or I mean Adam, I wanted to ask Adam this, and that is, okay, so when someone searches a name on GoDaddy in the registration path, like, I would looking, I can't remember what I was looking up, some of my own crap, and GoDaddy offers, I'm offering it for 15,000. And then I see GoDaddy's offering every other extension for $9, $12. And I'm thinking, like, no wonder no one wants to buy any of this stuff I got for 15 grand. At Namecheap, when they were searching your netplane.com, do you know what they show? And then, Arif, I know you wanted to chime in. Adam, do you know what they show? Did they show a lot of competition? I mean, does Namecheap and Spaceship do what GoDaddy does and offers all these alternatives?
Well, what I've noticed, and I tested this on a few of my names, is if you type in the name without the TLD, it seems to show a random TLD that you have listed for sale on Spaceship. So even if I own the .com, it might show the .us that somebody owns and is selling on their network. So I'm not sure how it determines that. Now, of course, I tested this, pretty soon after I added my names, and some of my names showed up immediately, and some of them showed up another one. So I hope that they don't do a first come first serve system, like I think Adam does that, where if you're the first one to list your name, then you're always going to be the first. You're always going to be the main result without the TLD.
Is that a thing? Is that for real?
I heard that on Adam. That's what people were saying, because you always see the same names listed first, and people have complained that their name is always far down on the list and there's like crappy ones above them. And I think somebody from Adam commented that it was because they were listed first.
That
Which
seems very unlike Darban.
that it seems
Yeah.
really bad, and it's hard to believe, and I don't know if it's true or not. I just remember seeing that. It doesn't make sense to do something like that, but
That's the thing with like people like talking about these things. Like a lot of people try to like find reasons why their domains aren't showing up, and oftentimes it's just because they're not good, right?
yeah.
But it's yeah, I agree with Josh. It doesn't sound like something that would be set up by DARPA.
Yeah, it totally doesn't.
Yeah, but Josh, you shouldn't say
Yeah.
anything, Josh. You've been a customer of Squad Help for a long time, so it's probably benefited you, don't you
Okay.
think?
So
Yeah, they've been good to me. I don't provide much value to them anymore. They just they moved on to better British guys that sound like hoof.
So here's an example I just pulled up on Namecheap. I own whoops.com, WHOOPS.com. And when I type in just whoops, the main result for the marketplace is the .xyz for 7888. And then under suggested results, mine is the first suggested result for my .com, but it's not the one that shows right under your search. So you would think they would prioritize .com first, but for some reason the XYZ is coming up. And I'm sure the XYZ was in their system before mine, which I have no idea if that's how they're determining it. But that does seem a bit strange that the XYZ, maybe because it's cheaper and they're thinking they have more chance of a sale. I'm not sure. But I am curious how they determine which TLD to show when you just type the SLD. And I don't know if maybe it's just me showing it. I don't know if someone else types in. If you go to Namecheap, search for whoops and see what comes up as the main result. Maybe it's different for everybody. Maybe for some reason it thinks I want to see XYZ.
I was doing it. You guys can't tell I'm doing it.
Yeah, I'm doing it now.
Oh, I mean, then. I don't know
So
what to
first
talk
result for me is whoops.com.
Okay, so it's different. Interesting.
And then I get whoops2, like .to. And then that's
right.
The top one, suggested results.
Well, no. Are you looking so right under whoops?
Oh, what? Yeah. No, you're right. XYZ. Yeah.
So
yeah.
That's
directly
interesting.
The first one. That's strange.
Yeah, you would think it would prioritize the .com.
Oh, and this is even more interesting. So, what the heck? Okay, so I typed in just whoops on its own, right? No extensions the first time. So the first result was the dot XYZ at 7888, and then down below in the suggested results shows whoops.com at 145.
Oh, right, the pricing
50. But then I go up top again. I type in whoops.com, and the first result on the top row is whoops.com for 150,000. The
right.
price is different.
Right. I think what's going on there is, and I think somebody did mention this on X like over a week ago, and I think it was due to they assumed it's still listing from Cedo or Afternic, and you know how they give a discount on it, so because they're trying to compete with the other partners. So I think that might be why there's a difference in pricing. But it's interesting that it acts differently when you type in the TLD.
Geez, so never search with the TLD and you might find a better price. But Josh, how are you guys handling that at DNX? I mean, you would just show the 150 price if somebody's, that's weird. I see the same thing you see, Arif, by the way, and Adam. I search just whoops, but normally I search with the TLD, so that's weird anyway. But okay, so I think that's weird. Okay.
Yeah, it seems like it's handling. It might totally be pulling from one of the partner networks. I don't think they fully removed. Well, you know what? It shows when I type in just whoops by itself, it is showing the spaceship marketplace tag next to them. But when I type in the .com, it also shows the tag. Interesting. So it's saying that it's coming from Spaceship for both of them.
And all the different venues, you priced them all at 150?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that 145, it's almost definitely, when they made them cheaper than Afternic. I don't know if they did the same policy from stuff from Cedo. I'm going to guess so, but who knows? But that's weird they're pulling those prices, because that's the first thing you'd want to do, right? Especially if you're divorcing from Afternic and GoDaddy, you'd want to make sure that data is just no longer connected in any way.
Yeah. Maybe I'll send a message on X to Richard and see what he says about it, how that works.
Fascinated by stuff. Now I searched whoops.to because that was there for, okay, now it's showing $29.90 available to register. But okay, so search is everything, and then over at Adam, when you're talking about that, I didn't know. So if that's the case, who's ever been there the longest shows up the first. Geez, that really means a lot. That way, if you're buying wholesale portfolios and it's somebody who's been around for quite a while, I guess it means something. But then if they're having a lot of sales, they probably wouldn't sell their portfolio.
Yeah, I mean, Richard he's talking quite a bit on X lately about how their registrations are catching up significantly to GoDaddy. But at the end of the day, like those metrics for me as a domain investor, that's not really what matters. For me, it's really the number of eyeballs on our premium domains, right? Like how high up are they on the list? How many of ours show up? And the other dimension is the relevance, right? How, let's have a 2word.com, but it's not exactly the word that they search for, but it's still relevant. Like how smart is their search to getting relevant results? Because it's not just eyeballs, but you want eyeballs that are more highly likely to grab your domain, right? So there's different dimensions, and it's just like the actual total number of registrations isn't really relevant to me at all. That argument is like kind of good, have fun arguing with GoDaddy for that kind of stuff, but like really, if you can deliver us more sales, which means you can basically more eyeballs, that's what matters to me.
Well, we definitely need to register, or have our names on listed on Spaceship, because you want to be in the name cheap path. They are getting real close to um, GoDaddy and registrations. Sort of close. Basically, they are growing, so you want to be part of it. Adam, when you have to prove ownership, you list the name on Spaceship and you have to prove ownership. How do you do it? Just change your name servers there for until the ownership's verified, and then you switch them back, or do you do it another method?
Yeah, I mean, the nice thing is you can do it just by switching to their name server. And they're pretty fast. I've noticed certain TLDs take a lot longer than others to resolve. But for the most part, it's like you're praying that an Afternic sale doesn't come through on the little short window where you're switching to name servers. The odds of it are pretty slim, but that would really suck. It would make a great story, but it would suck. But yeah, for most of them, I'm just changing the name server and then waiting till it gets approved, and then I'll switch it back. There were about 5 names that I own. They all happen to be .cos that were already in their system under a different account. So when that happens, then you have to actually contact support, and then they tell you to add a text value. So that means you got to change to default name server so you can add DNS entries, and then they tell you what text value to use, and then they'll get back to you when you can add it normally. The first time I did it, it was a batch of 4 names, and it took them about a day. The second time I did it, and it was on a Friday, I had one more name, and it took them about 5 days to get back and to do it. So, which then Marina on NamePro said that wasn't normal. She would look into it, but yeah, they said eventually they're going to add a automated system to do it. But for now, that's manual. I don't expect you'd see at this point a lot of names that are already in someone's account because it's so new. But yeah, you can also change it for some of my names. When I was doing this, I would say, okay, I hadn't added Decicito yet. Let me just go ahead and do that too. Then I just changed it to just regular default name servers so that I could add text files, text values, and I did that, just at once. I said, okay, here's a text value for Spaceship, here's a text value for Cedo, and then I just added to both of them and then changed it back. So, overall, it wasn't too bad. The bad thing is you have to remember where it was pointed to in the first place so you can change it back, and you have to do it. You have to go to all your different registrars where it's listed at and do it. I try to combine all mine. I have most of my names at Dynadot, but I also have stuff, at GoDaddy, at Network Solutions, at Docky, at Namebright, so I have to go to all those and do them as well. But overall, it was pretty seamless.
Adam, do you have Boost on at Afternic?
No, I don't use Boost.
Okay, so like you're gonna kind of go crazy when I say this. So when I type in whoops at GoDaddy, right, I get domain taken for whoops.ca. And then on the right side, great alternative, the hand reg that they usually put there is getwhoops.com, right? Then I get gowhoops.com. I get whoops.world, whoops.it.com, whoops.art, whoops.channel. I go all the way down. At one point, I see whoops.me, which is after my premium one, which is 7,500. I pass whoops.xyz for 7,888, and whoops.com isn't even listed in the and there's what I scroll down. It's like there's like 50 names. Now if I type in whoops.com, it shows up.
Yeah, right. But, yeah. I've seen that before.
I just searched whoops at GoDaddy, and just by itself, no .com, and the very first thing that came up was whoops.com 150,000.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's because Arif, it's because you're in Canada, dude.
Yeah. It's just silly though. Like I mean, like how could it not even be in the top 50 search results? It's just bonkers.
I use it. Yeah, I use a dedicated IP in UK, and yeah, if I type in a .com, uh, looking for a .com but don't add the .com, I just type in the SLD.
Yeah, because
It'll come
UK.
up. It'll come up. It won't even show. It won't even show that it's available. It'll show the .co.uk like available to hand reg.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
I mean, it just doesn't make. I mean, okay, maybe put the CA first or the .uk first in the country, but like
Yeah.
the .com should be second.
They're
Right?
basically trying to extort us to do boost. Now I don't know. Is there even a guarantee that it would show up if I did use
I don't
boost?
think it would, even if you were boosted. I think
But
that I do think that they've done tests, and that it's the majority of their customers are looking, like in the UK or Canada, are simply just looking for for their country code TLD.
and even worse, the whoops.ca is taken, and they give me like the broker service fee for now it's $12.50, but you know it used to be like $120 and $78, whatever it is. I think they're experimenting with the prices, but still kind of bonkers.
Yeah, it's pretty sad. It's a shell of its former self to how it used to work and promoting our names. And, now it's just all about promoting the extensions to sell for them. So that's.
Well, I get so many more sales than I used to. So
Did you
what's that all
really?
about?
Hmm.
Maybe I'm just a better domainer now.
Yeah, your names are higher quality, and they know it's
That's
your
the
name, by the
thing,
way.
yeah.
They see the name, and, well, that's a Josh name, so
Yeah,
they'll buy it.
exactly. That's what I was thinking when I heard that you only had 900 names and one sold through Spaceship already. I was like, yeah, it's because you're Adam, dude. That's why.
I'm jealous. It's like we're a bunch of. You're getting asked to dance a lot, Josh. No one's asking me to dance at all. Well, hey everybody, we're going to be doing this for another 35 minutes today. We stop at 11:55 a.m. PST. That's 2:55. So I have 5 minutes in between to freshen myself up before I get on a call. So if you want to come up here, we're going to be talking about. We got endless things to talk about. I wanted to talk about two domain investors that were on DNW.com on the latest podcast. Logan Flatt and Mark. What's Mark's last name? Levine. Jeez, Mark. I like Mark the most out of most all investors. I mean, when I see him
Yeah.
at ICA, I just
They're
want to.
they're both good dudes.
Yeah, and I was gonna say so.
Yeah,
Interesting
I love it
stuff.
when
Yeah, go ahead.
I love when Andrew does this show with them, the Dan Wire.
Yeah.
So it always makes for a good show. They share really good information. Those guys.
So for the next 30 minutes, all topics are, we're open to anything. Get a chance. Come on, if there's plenty of seats available. I just know there's plenty of fun. Matter of fact, I had Darcy. I had you on the outline for today on my page. Darcy's raising .fi. Do you need a .com to raise money? I would like, no, you don't need a .com to be a successful company. You don't need your exact match. Now, if you're somebody who's constantly on TV and you're like, hey, we're uh, Mojo, you got to go to Mojo, and then you don't know Mojo.com, sure, you're just shooting yourself in the foot. But if you're, a company that's something capital and you always mention that, Lion Capital. You can be successful on Lion Capital and even Lion Capital, another extension. But the point is, okay, so raising.fi is I guess, I never even go there because I just see the things, but I guess Darcy put it together, which is a reason probably why I don't stop by there. I'm like, I just don't know. Does it smell moldy there or not? Darcy, it's nice to have you here. But raising.fi, he's always talking about companies raising money, what domain they have, and who's successful raising money. Josh, well, that's obviously not necessary, but how do you feel these companies that are raising money not on the .com, do they eventually, you think they're all, like Rosner says, they're going to get the .com eventually. How important is it to have the .com before you raise?
Sheesh. I mean, that is a very loaded question. It is mostly not important. If you have the .com before you raise, I'm sure it could be extremely helpful in the right scenario. Will all of these companies acquire their .com? No. Will a lot of them go out of business at some point? Yes. will a lot of them that are successful not get their .com? Yes. Will the absolute best of the best end up getting their .com? If they can, maybe. There's just only being able to, if you've got a great brand, let's say like Arch, right, and you raise a lot of money, doesn't matter how much you raise at this point, you're gonna struggle to get Arch.com from the people that just bought it, right? And we all know that founders are not particularly diligent on looking at, what the future may hold and whether or not they might be able to get their exactmatch.com in the future. Sometimes it's not that they don't want to, it's just that they can't. And, there's also obviously way more caveats to all of this, right? There's loads of little things, like sometimes non-consumer facing products don't necessarily really want even bother getting their .com, and yet still become very successful. So it's very hard to just, anyone that puts a blanket answer on that is kind of like doing a disservice to the question, in my opinion. No, not everyone is gonna get their .com.
Yeah, and you could have just said that was a stupid question, because it was sort of like, you're right, disservice asking that type of question, but I did it to you. At least you know how to catch the ball.
I didn't mean like it was dumb of you to ask the question, because it's a very common question, and you referenced Drew, who is not dumb either. So, but I think that there are lots of very big players in the industry that make blanket statements like that, which are just not true.
Untrue. There was some random people, Darcy included, that I invited. I think it was Darcy, Jeremiah, Ish, Bruce, and Summit. I wanted you guys to know, you guys were the 5 that I just invited to the stage. If Summit would have taken me up on it, and he still can, I would have just said no reason. I just did it to see if 5 people I randomly I mentioned would do it. But so you see how easy I remember who I invited, why they didn't show. I was going to ask Jeremiah, so he was selling off some of the things that he's been building. He's maybe selling off a company. I give him a chance to pitch it. He's going to say, well, that wasn't the right room to pitch it to anyway. But anyway, I'm noticing who takes me up on it. Did Arif just go down? I was seeing it changes around these speakers,
I'm here,
listeners.
bro. I'm
yeah,
here.
I see. Okay, so somebody did request. Let's see who that was. Jeremiah. Oh, okay. So that's, I would say, like, if he was probably my 3rd choice of the 5. I'm just kidding. Anyway, Jeremiah. So tell us about. I'm curious. This is for me. So you've built catches.io. You have Tap Commerce. You've been really learning a lot and building a lot these last 6 months, because you left your last job early in the year, and you spent a lot of time learning. But so what are you selling off, and what is exactly, why would someone be interested? I'm interested seriously. So be serious here, no joking around.
Sure. I am, right now we're actively marketing tapcommerce.com as an acquisition for someone to pick up. It's a fully operational e-commerce platform similar to Shopify, where anybody can go and create an online store. We acquired some software from a company that was in Europe that was going out of business. So we acquired their code base. It's about 9 GitHub repositories full of code. And, we basically have the whole platform ready to go. We've been sitting there organically. Users can create accounts, but it's, we haven't really marketed or done anything, because I'm stretched thin from a focus perspective. You definitely can do too much. I'm not Elon Musk, so I can't run like many companies at once like I thought I could. It's just sitting there. It's not getting any attention. I think somebody could pick it up and run with it. We're looking, we're not looking for a lot of money for it. You know, uh, right now we're kind of accepting 5-figure offers for it, and it's a soft handoff business. Somebody could take all of it or parts of it, so it's not all inclusive. But it does the way that we're marketing it right now is it's a full-fledged e-commerce platform ready to go. Sorry, I'm getting a message there. We acquired the domain, we acquired the software, we slammed it together. It's you know it's I wish I could give you a better pitch for it. Right now I'm kind of was in the weeds and didn't expect to pop up here.
Well,
So
Jeremiah, I mean, I think it's great. I'm already thinking if we get some funding, even at Pay Now, we're doing some things. Some people want to come in and partner with us, but I love the idea of being able to have a Pay Now uh, platform like that. That so our merchants and say new merchants that are looking to open a Shopify, really open a Tap Commerce. Basically, you're saying open an online marketplace, have your own platform. And let me ask you this: so anybody interested, they can certainly use Tap Commerce if they wanted that, but they can brand it themselves if they thought, I want to compete with Shopify, and not really compete with Shopify, but have that type of product where a merchant can come in, set up their store, and you have some payments systems already set up. But so you're willing, and I'm from what you said, it sounds like willing to even stay on, but if you got a little bit of dough for it, but then help with the transition of the new owner because I have some interest, but also I think I know of some other folks that may have some more money that I'd be willing to put in that may be interested in something like this. So you are willing to keep riding along if the role is appropriate for you and that you'll help with the transition.
yeah, 100%. I'm open to somebody taking 100% and just going forward with their own team. I'm interested in retaining an equity ownership as a partnership, as long as it's somebody who can take it and drive and be the head of the operation. So
Right. You could
there's
just
there's
advise,
there's
not somebody
opportunities
who
there,
wants.
and
Sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, and it's a pretty decent application. The infrastructure is built in a way that it can scale pretty good. Like the current infrastructure allows, over a thousand sites in the current infrastructure. I think our application is right now it costs us like $300 a month to run across all the APIs and server overhead. So it's not a large carry from an OpEx perspective. So I feel bad that it's sitting there and it's not getting the attention it needs. I think if somebody really was motivated and could drive it and grow it more than just an organic product. And it's all based on AWS simple services. It uses a lot of core functions of that. It uses Stripe connected standard accounts so that the fraud risk is handled by Stripe, because we basically just create a customer relationship there, and then any other payment method, there's ability to build in any other payment methods. So like Pay Now, et cetera.
Anybody interested, reach out to Jeremiah. But Jeremiah, I agree with you. I mean, I know what you're looking for, someone who is probably already working on something like this, already has spent time and thinks, yeah, maybe the smart move to, they have strengths in other areas and you've really got the platform built. But if you stayed on, I'd understand. And I'm looking at this from my perspective as you just be an advisor saying, no, I'm not doing that. I'm trying to get rid of it. But yeah, if somebody really knows how to drive the friggin' bus, I'll sit back in 12E and help, and when I want to, and we'll keep this thing going, in the right direction. I mean, I know you've put really most everything together. It's beautiful, but it's got to be for somebody who's like, I don't want to just create a store. I want to create a platform that allows merchants to create stores. Well, it's got to somebody that really has already had that idea, not just. But anyway, if anybody has has already been building similar things, they want to talk with Jeremiah about it, or if it is new to you, but you really like the idea of allowing merchants to, create their own e-commerce stores, just like Shopify, fucking reach out to Jeremiah. Hey, the rest of today, we're going to talk a little bit about what Andrew Alleman talked with Logan and Mark about, basically domain investing once again. And um, I don't know, did you listen to that show, Josh?
Yep, I did.
Okay, so I thought it was interesting that, first, I can always say, oh, yeah, that's more to the story there. There. Listen, these guys give all sorts of information. I can certainly be a domainer and like, I want more, I need more specific. They're fucking opened up almost everything. I did think interesting that Logan was saying he books these things like weedsociety.com. He sold 5 years ago for 15K, but it was on a 5 year lease plan. So he books 19,000 this year because he actually got paid more than the 15,000 because it was a 5 year, LTO. So
Yeah, I do it. I do it the same way as Mark does. I just book it as the revenue comes in, and I consider it a sale when the sale happens, and then book the revenue as it comes in.
Go on. I was inviting some friends on the stage, but okay, about Logan, that weed society, I thought interesting. I book it like you and Mark do, only because that's when we know who was buying that weed name when they bought it 5 years ago. Of course, they didn't pay it off till today, but still, I'd like to know if it's the trend of buying that was actually bought on that day, and then again, a lot of the numbers, when you book 19,000 this year, really, it's only a couple thousand that you've received this year on the name. So, but still, what great numbers. Logan said that he had 12.com sales so far this year and 12 non.com. And we'll, talk a little bit about that, what those guys are selling. I have some specifics, but I want to say welcome to Domain Shane. Nice to have you here. What's going on, Shane?
No, I only wanted to get up here and just say I appreciate the job you're doing, Todd. We don't probably say it enough, but as I sit here, I'm thinking, you're putting this together, you keep an agenda, you're keeping on topic, you're keeping great people talking. So I literally just want to come up here and say I appreciate what you do. Like just listening to this and gets my mind thinking. I'm making money just by listening to everybody up here. So literally that's all I wanted to do is we all appreciate you being organized. Josh and I tried this, but both of us are all over the board. Somebody like you is what's needed. So just wanted to come up, and that's all I wanted to say. I appreciate you, and I appreciate you doing this all the time, putting all the hard work in.
Thanks, Shane. I'm sitting here blushing, and I'm glad you did it in front of Josh too, because I'm looking over at Josh like, yeah. See,
Nah, but don't you start getting any ideas, Todd?
but no, thanks, Shane. And I know when you bring up about your blog and the consistency, that was I still read your shit every day, and I always, you're a great example of a lot of us that were on the sidelines for years. Well, a lot of you have shared a lot. We know a lot about people. And then now some folks know a little bit about me only because I've been doing this. But when I was thinking about domain name law, Zach first came up to me and said, he did. And then they didn't even know, what's your interest in domain law? Like looking at me like, why are you doing that? Who are you? My interest in it, I'm a fucking businessman and I have domains. What more do I need to say? You couldn't figure it out. But two and two together, I got to tell you lawyers what to fucking do. Anyway, but it was, I knew, listen, just be consistent. And Shane, you've always brought that up. It's like, listen, you be consistent. And that's why it certainly opens some doors. We know in the domain space, it's a little bit. But anyway, I was just saying, thanks. Thanks from all people saying that, Shane. It does mean a lot. You fucking put in the time. And it's, I don't comment on your running too much anymore because I don't put in the miles and I'm fucking mad. But I'm turning 60 in September, so I'm going to a new fucking, age group. I'm about ready to fucking turn it on again, let people know. But when we're in wherever that place in Miami, I'm sure it's going to be okay weather in November. So maybe one of the mornings we'll go for a run, and I'll do anything to, make Siger pass out. So we'll turn it on at the end. You know what I'm saying? Thanks for thanks for jumping up here. Well, you can certainly comment on these things. Logan and Mark, I mean, Mark sold 34 names. I mean, yeah, basically 36 names so far this year. 34.com and only, well, 37, 2.io, 1.gg. But these guys sold, I guess Logan's biggest one was heavenlyai.com. Josh, if you remember, 69,888. He just said he priced it because, I'm sorry, it was Humanity AI, because he said humanity's probably going to be wiped out because of AI. So he thought that was the one. But when you were listening to the thing, Josh, anything you remember? I want to say quickly, Logan just said he started using Boost since March. So he didn't even use Afternic Boost before that. He's not sure how it's affecting what he's doing. But what do you remember from the Logan and Mark interview that Andrew Alleman did? So everybody check out dnw.com.
I mean, they basically just shared their sales, right? Logan said that he was having a better year than the previous year. What stood out to me is that I think most of that revenue that he considers, it being a better year has come from lease to owns that have long-term lease to owns that have been completed this year. And then B, he had one outlier sale, humanityai.com, which sounded like it sold for 75 grand. So if you take those out of the equation, I was hoping that Andrew would have asked that question, but I don't think he did. Basically, take those out of the equation, and I don't think that it was necessarily looking like a big year-over-year increase. So there's got to bear that in mind. Mark said that his sales numbers are down compared to last year. So I thought that was interesting. I think he also said that he's been buying less. So I think that when you stop buying, it's to be expected that your general your revenue numbers will go down. At least that has been the case for me. If you want to keep scaling and keep increasing, you got to keep buying. Yeah.
They brought up a lot of other good stuff. I'll get to some of the names they sold. People want to hear them. But Dave, it's nice having you up here. What's going on today?
Hey, Todd, just stopped in to say hello. Saw Shane, wanted to echo his sentiment. I really appreciate how you've developed, man, and what you do for us. And Shane, by the way, I read you, man. I've been reading you for years and really enjoy it. Your dedication as well. Really applaud it, man. That's it.
Yeah. It is pretty cool, Shane. We've seen I was gonna say your fucking kid, your beautiful daughter go through college and then go to Princeton, everything. But listen, when we used to do this thing, 2008, 2009, people had these little kids busting his ass. This isn't a Shane show right now, but it is cool to, a lot of people feel that way about Shane, Dave, watching, reading along the way. And, you really just know these other guys, we're talking Logan and Mark, we know about their, their domain sales. And I know because I've met, know them in person a little bit about the other things we do, but it is that big differentiator why people have always, feel like they know Shane and they feel like they know him enough to fucking say what they want to him anyway. So it's a plus and minus, right? But it is awesome to know just 20 years ago, little kids, we see families grow up and we just see really a lot of success happen too. And interesting that we've all sort of experienced this together. Some of these ups and downs in the not just the domain space, but now Web3 coming along, and we're all some more than others, knowing or knowledgeable about it, but really preparing for it. What is next? Because I was mentioning my age, still got plenty of kick left, meaning I'm gonna kick some ass. Now, I feel like I've worked my whole life for now. Now I finally can, do some big shit, whether it's making movies or building companies. But yeah, so it's not time to retire. It's time to really turn it up. But there's no retiring from making good decisions in your life. And now you have our priorities set. Go ahead. You got something to say?
Yeah, I was going to say, the common thing amongst everybody in this group is the more success we have, the more we dig in. Like Josh has had great success. He's digging in deeper. We've been doing it a long time, but yet we're still spending time going through domains, talking domains, trying to get better, listening to what other people are doing. That's the consistency here. You talked about consistency. The consistency is we're all busting ass. Yeah, we're taking a little bit more time doing maybe some personal things as we get older, but we're still here listening and learning. And you see Arif. I mean, I remember Arif when he first came in, he was talking about walking his dog and how interested. And now I'm seeing his sales come up regularly. His portfolio is growing. So if anybody wants to know how to be successful in the domain industry, it's dig in and learn. And yeah, you have to keep buying. I mean, it's incredible. Half my names that I've sold have been names I purchased in the last 12 months. So, you have to keep buying to keep having the sales, and it's consistency and learning and getting better and doing things like that. I know I'm being like a cheerleader here, but it's not that hard from that aspect of it.
The
Yeah,
what
I
have you
still
done for me
remember.
lately is important. But Arif Steamy's like fucking 25 now. I don't know how the dog's still, but
He's gonna be 12 later on this year. But that's the thing. Like, you want to be good at domaining, get yourself a dog. Likes go for big walks. I mean, I joke all the time because when I started, it was like late 2016, and Mike Seiger was still doing Sherpa, and the regulars was yourself, Shane, Drew Rosner was a regular, and Frank Schilling. I think the three of you were at that point in time were the three in regular rotation. And I just remember like listening and re-listening, and I'd go for walks with Steamy for like 3 hours and listen to like two or three sort of Sherpas, and then one of the Andrew Allemans, and it's just the amount of information I learned from you guys is just amazing. Like I always joke because like I probably at this point about 2,000 hours worth of podcasts, especially Sherpas, in my ears. And so like I'm joking around with you and with Mike. I say you guys are my domain uncles who give me all kinds of advice, and you don't even know it. But again, like what Todd is doing now, like people who are doing these rooms and giving information sessions, it's priceless. We're lucky to have that kind of community where there's still a handful of people who share and who will get up and share their sales or share tactics or whatever it might be. Right? There's always something we can learn. Like, I mean, I still consider myself new to the industry, but I'm just realizing now, like in September, it'll be 9 years since I made the decision from stopping to be a collector to an actually like somebody who actually tries to sell stuff. That's like, where's the time gone? I don't know. But like, again, thankfully, I've had a good journey. Like things have gone well for me. For me, it's a little bit of the opposite. From mid 2000 to early 2024, I bought almost zero domains, just randomly, and my sales were still consistent. So I'm still now like the sales I'm making now. My last sell was one I bought in 2017. It's just so I'm happy with the depth of my portfolio. I'm trimming some stuff this year, but again, like it's always learning moving forward. The stuff I'm buying nowadays, it's like hands and like way above the stuff I was getting when I was starting. So I'm really excited for moving things forward. But yeah, it's really thanks to guys like yourself and people who should even like the written stuff like Ron Jackson. He's like the coolest cat in the industry, man. Like if I was like 10 years older, I would want to have, like, he had a record store at one point. I used to DJ. It was my dream. It's like there's people like him who share the information consistently. I don't want to start naming names because there's a lot of people who do it, but it's just like I'm really always appreciative to people who put information together or make rooms available or make information available, because it's priceless.
Hey, before I go to Sam, we're going to be here 10 more minutes. Shane, that's pretty good. You're in rotation with Drew and Frank Schilling. You're thinking, I know you got some cool spots yourself, but you're like, let's rotate the houses a little bit. Let's rotate the bank accounts a little bit. I mean, let's start rotating. Let's just put it in a pool. What about the names pro that Josh was talking about and Shane mentioned? Us domainers, we like talking domains. I mean, fuck, even way back then, still want to do it. Josh was just on Name Pros, but we still, and no matter a lot of success, you get going through rough times, domainers love talking domains, and it is an interesting group. Summit, thanks for joining us on stage. I know you were Name Pros way back in the day too, but what's going on today? How you doing?
Not much. I want to go back to the do you need a .com to succeed today? I think we are way past. Would you like a .com? Yes. Would you, given a choice, would you prefer a .com? Certainly. But is it absolutely mandatory? Not. greattour.com. Again, give you actually is counterproductive. Like they went to $10 billion without need to buy the .com. They still didn't buy.
Yeah, you're going in and out. It's awesome having people from around the world. He's over there in Romania. Just kidding. Samit's in India. What was the company that you said? You going in and out. Who raised 10 billion and they're on another extension? Okay, we can't hear him. He's on one of those things. You know, how they all go around in India and there's a little kid that's running them around in I don't know what it's called. I don't know, Sama. Well, thanks for being here. I know he's underneath the, on the halfway around the world. My brother Vince, who lives in Florida, he's flying to India he works for Rolls Royce. He's got to go there. I told him to stop by and see Summit. I told him you got a beard and it's got a lot of gray in it, more than it used to. Um, Hey, before we go, we're going to be here like 4 more minutes about this Logan and Mark thing, because, you check out dnw.com and listen to the interview. The most important thing is giving credit where credit's due in this space too, because Domain Game blogs the hell out of stuff. Shane's blog we're talking about. Well, Shane, while you're here, what's up with the newsletter? So tell us a little bit about your newsletter if you don't mind.
No, it's just simply some people prefer to have it emailed. It's literally the same thing. It's just another form. There's 500 people, 600 people that read it every day. That hasn't changed over the last 10 years. And some people just want email form. It's just however you can reach people, whether you reach them email, whether they come to your blog, whether they come on a Spaces. It's really about reach, and that's what we do. I enjoy it. I'm literally writing the list and going through the list as we speak. I do it. The reason I still do it is because I need to go through the names anyway, and it's consistency. And in this domain industry, you got to have some routine. I don't even know what day it is now that Seinfeld and Friends isn't on Thursday anymore. I don't have any idea what day it is unless I'm doing the blog. So that's the only reason I did the newsletter. It doesn't have a huge reach compared to other newsletters that people have tens of thousands, but that's why I do it.
Yeah, those were the 90s. No, I got you. You're right about Thursdays. It was must-see TV on NBC. I wasn't much of a Friends person. I did watch enough of it, but yeah, Seinfeld. But that is, I'll say funny. Yeah, we know. No one knows the days anymore. That's what keeps me on track. Tuesday, domain name law. And by the way, yeah, we're almost done here. Next Tuesday, listen to us on domain name law. This room is, I think, obviously much more valuable and interesting for domain investors. And we're going to try to, have some great content next week too. I'll put something together. But hey, so Mark sold monkeysuit.com. I think he only sold it for like 10 grand or something. I thought that was underpriced because that seemed pretty cool to me. Now, Logan sold tiger.bet for 40,000. He said he paid 3,500 for that. And give you some perspective, Logan has, I guess, about 3,800 names. Mark has about 8,000. So these guys, definite don't, you can relate to them. But Josh, tiger.bet, 40K. I don't know, that just seemed right on to me. I don't, Tiger is such a great to the left and, with bet. But what do you think about investing in a .bet extension and about that particular sell? Yeah, you're on mute, but I do that. It's like if I can, I throw
Oh,
it to
sorry,
somebody. You go
sorry.
ahead.
Here we go. Yeah, like Logan said, I think Logan said on the thing he paid up for that name, Tiger.bet. I think that most people on the surface would think, including myself, on first glance, like, "Oh, I don't think I would pay 3.5, 4 grand for Tiger.bet, especially like a brandable." Um, but Logan made like very valid points as to why he paid that, and it makes sense, right? .bet is one of the most popular new GTLDs that exists from a aftermarket sales standpoint. It does very, very well. Tiger is one of the best brands, literally one of the best SLDs across almost any industry. that possibly exists. On top of that, the Chinese market likes .bets. They also like tigers, and they also like gambling. So, I mean, there are just multiple reasons why Tiger.bet, that SLD, is one of the most elite SLDs that you can have. And combine that, with the fact that it's a as far as new GTLDs go, .bet is a pretty well known extension, especially among the end users that are buying it. So kudos to Logan, like he spotted that early. I think Drew posted that he sold my .bet for 150 grand a couple maybe a month or so ago, and on the Sherpa that we recorded a couple days ago, he talks about another betting sale. It was bet.live, and I won't say how much it was, but tune into doing Sherpa and to find out. But what I'll say is, good betting names sell for a lot of money.
Yeah, and we will. Everybody check out Sherpa. That's coming out today, this evening. Also, next Wednesday, I hope to see a lot of your faces, especially Josh, you, Arif, Shane. You guys are members of the ICA. I know plenty of the others are as well. But there's a ICA Summer Social next Wednesday, 10:30 a.m. Pacific, 1:30 p.m. Eastern, and so we're gonna have a domain social. I mean, it's like everything. It's a summer social for the ICA. Hope to see some faces there. And then I'm gonna wrap this up. There was one other thing I wanted to mention. Um, I guess that was it. Oh, there's plenty of things we're going to talk about next week that we didn't even get to today. But one couple of them are this .fast extension. There's new stuff, just because it was one in the last round. I love that there's all these staggered releases of some of these extensions that some of the big companies, whether it's Amazon or Google or whoever, decides they're going to, now release them. So there's certainly .you, but certainly some potential money to be made, investments. We love when we can get tiger.fast. Maybe that's, available. But everybody, thanks for being here. I want to say, hey, of course, my co-host Josh, we're going to be here next Thursday, same time, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. But thanks, Adam. Thanks, Mike Seiger. Thanks, I think Barman even stopped in for a little bit. Yeah, he did. I remember. But Jeremiah and Shane, Arif, thanks. Samet came in and Dave comes in. And of course, the celebrity Raghu Sharma, well known in Bollywood, here not so much, but he was here, he is here. Thanks, Raghu. Everyone have a great rest of the day where you're at, and we'll see you next week. Like I said, hopefully domain name law on Tuesday, and then on Wednesday at the ICA Summer Social Call, and then next week, same time, same place right here. Take it easy. See you next time.